Welcome to Food Shrinks.
All right, welcome back to our holiday shorts, and we have some more questions today.
And we have a new outfit.
Oh, the Pugly Christmas with my.
This is my favorite one so far, if I'm being honest.
We've got more. And today we're talking about how to handle gatherings and social situations. So the first question we got about this is when I'm at a holiday party and there's a buffet style setup, I get overwhelmed and I feel my cravings spike. How do I stay grounded and present?
Okay. This is my favorite question in the world.
Go for it.
Because if there's a trigger point for me, it's a buffet. And I used to go to all these ashrams where, anyway. Okay, here's my behind the scenes of, okay, so first thing you do is take a deep breath. Second thing you do is some kind of superwoman pose. You got to really get yourself grounded, okay? Third thing you do, canvas the joint. Remember, I just need to remember to everybody all the time, you can literally, we said this in our Thanksgiving episode, you can eat anything you want, whenever you want, you can get it, you can get macaroons in from Paris. So you got to keep the nervous system calm, because that's the problem. There's so much, should I get enough? You got to get the nervous system. Go canvas the joint, take a minute, sneak it out, see what's there, see what works for you, see, blah, 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 blah. Then you get one civilian plate. There's a difference. A civilian eats like, if I was a non-civilian plate, it would be like, it's hanging off and there's like dressing behind me on the floor. That's like an addict's plate, okay? You get one, be thoughtful, one civilian plate, then you're done. Nobody starved between after dinner and breakfast. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk.
I would agree with you. I'm a big fan of like checking out what there is, like cruising by just to see or like see what other people have on their plates. But I also know for me, I know the things that are going to be safe for me. Meat, veg, that's salad. That's probably all that I really need. Again, like I'm not going to go overboard and think like, oh, I've got to have all of the things and what am I missing out on and whatever. I just stay the course and keep going by. I like to think of it as like blinders, eyes on my own plate. And I've said this to clients before, whatever, like what's on my plate is what's on my plate, eyes on my own plate, what makes sense to me for this meal. But I'm with you, Molly. Nobody has ever starved between dinner and breakfast. And maybe it's a midday meal, but here's the beautiful thing. It's a midday meal. You know what you're going to have for dinner? Leftovers anyway, because nobody's cooking a whole different meal for Thanksgiving night if you've had it as your midday meal. So you don't have to, I'm with you. It does not have to be piled high. It's that civilian plate. It's one pass. You're going to be okay. I promise. And if you're not, reach out for support. I don't know. What do you think, Clarissa?
Yeah, no, I love what you just said because it also makes sense in terms of like the science, right? Is like the more flavors you have on your plate, the more you're going to just keep overriding palate fatigue. And that's just really going to.
What's palate fatigue?
So if I eat the same food, eventually my palate gets tired of it. And so then I don't want any more. But if there's always new flavors, then I always am getting a new hit of excitement. And so then that can override a satiety signal that my body might give me. So like Doritos, what they do is like they take every individual Dorito chip and spice it differently so that therefore every chip.
Like that's literally what happens with Doritos. I heard. So I hear. That's what they tell me.
So you can't stop eating because you're constantly, it's like a new flavor sensation every time you have it. So that's why I love what you said, like one plate, limit, the buffet that's you have on your own plate because you will just do better and you'll feel more grounded even just that way. So I love those suggestions.
Great.
All right. So next question. How do I handle comments from friends or family about my food choices without starting a debate or feeling like I have to justify myself?
Well, in my experience, okay, keep the focus on yourself. In my experience, because I don't drink also, right? So in my experience, the only people who care about me not drinking are people that have drinking problems. And the only people who care about what I'm eating are people that have eating problems. And the truth is, so do you guys love Dr. Becky? Well, I'm
No.
obsessed
I
with
don't know who
her.
that is.
She's like one of the most famous child psychologists in the world right now. Get on it. But she has this thing called, she's incredible. I'm obsessed with her. She has this thing called an MGI, a
Okay.
most generous interpretation. So the thing is like, my recovery is like not up for debate. I'm not interested in talking about it. I'm sure this happens to you guys. Oh, if I mutter out of my mouth, food addiction therapist. What do you think of my eating? I'm like, oh boy. So I do my best to not talk about food, and I encourage you to do the same.
Mhm.
And if people want to talk to you about their food, I want you to remember what we're saying, and I want you to find a generous interpretation of why the person is asking you this. And the generous interpretation will be, my God, they are probably struggling. That does not call for you to save them and bring them into sweet sobriety, and bring them to an OA meeting.
Yeah.
Just means your back doesn't need to go up. It
Like
takes two people to
compassion.
get into, right. It takes two people to get into an argument. And if
Mhm.
your recovery is not available for judgment and it's not available for discussion, and you're having this generous and like, wow, this person must have a lot of problems with food. Not my problem tonight because I have to deal with my recovery. But if you're not available to fight, it's very unlikely that we're going to get into a heated debate about your recovery. Don't debate it. Drop the rope.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like to say don't take the bait because
Don't take the bait.
same, like you said, it takes two
Keep
people to
your
get into
eyes
an
on your
argument.
plate. That's your best one
That's
today.
it. Blinders on, eyes on your own plate. It doesn't matter what they have on their plate, you have on your plate. It's like you said, it's not up for debate. I don't know that I have anything really to add to what you just said, Molly. Clarissa, did you have a different thought on it?
Whoa, I might need
Yeah.
to.
No, it's true. The only thing, like if people do keep coming at me, I just come at it from such a positive way and just make it so about me. Like, I am doing this and I feel so amazing. It's just like incredible. I really used to struggle with food. And that's like me just being vulnerable. And nobody's going to say, oh, well, you should stop doing that when I'm telling them, how well it makes me feel. And again, that's based on psychology science because now they're not feeling like that you're comparing how
Yeah.
you're eating to how they're eating. You're just putting the focus on you and you're not saying, I don't eat that because that's bad. You're saying, this is what I'm doing and this is making me
Oh,
feel.
that's good stuff, Clarissa. I love that. Right. Keeping the focus on you. I had one more thought that when you were saying that, but then my dog started barking, so I got really distracted. Um, well, maybe I'll remember it, but that is
If he
just
comes
so,
back.
so good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I love that so deeply. And I think I can't remember. He won't shut up. All right. This is real time. We're not cutting
It
this.
might
So
That's
come to you
right.
because I think the next question might
Yes,
jog it.
it is. My family expects me to indulge in the holiday treats as part of the celebration. So how can I decline without offending anyone or feeling left out?
Hmm. Well, and this would be very unpopular opinion. I don't know that you can. I don't know that you can decline without offending people
Hmm.
or without hurting people's feelings, but you're not responsible. Like it's not on your side of the street that people are taking it offensively that you're not eating their food. Like
Yeah.
this is really about, and I love the MGI here, right? There's
Mhm.
this great Buddhist concept and it's like called like just like me, right? So it's like, just like me, they're having a problem. Like, just like me, they're wishing that I would partake in it. Like, just like me, they want to feel included. Just like me, they want to enjoy things that I've made. Like, and so I think oh, wow, I hit a heart. But like,
Yeah.
I think having some compassion, the problem is when we go in so combative,
Mhm.
right? It's exactly what you're saying, Clarissa, about like having the softness. Like, I don't know, like this is just what works for me. Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. My friend was like, well, do you think I have a food addiction? And I'm like, oh, I just know that I do. Probably not. Like, I didn't even want to get involved. I was like,
Yeah.
probably not. If you can eat a cookie, go for it. Like, there's a lightness to what we're saying here. And
Right.
and again, we don't know you, but there's a heaviness to the question. Right. And
Mhm.
there's like a ready to like we don't need to protect our recovery in this way.
Yeah.
doesn't need protection in this way. It oddly, when we get into arguments, when no stops being a full sentence, right? When our own limits become negotiable, like then our recovery needs protection. But if we're like solid, know what we're doing, know what we're not. I mean, I got to be honest. When I decided it was non-negotiable, and then I love, you guys said this in one of the other videos, but like, we come at this because we have been non-negotiable about our recovery, right? We've said, I'm never eating it again. And then we're having a few bites of cake. We've taught everybody that there's a possibility that we're going to eat a bite of the cake. We've taught them, that's on us. But about 3 years in, that's a long time, but I'm 15 years in, so that's good. 3 years in, nobody asked me if I want it.
That's so important. And I think another important thing to remember about that whole like offending people is just because somebody is offended does not mean that you've done something wrong.
Girl.
Right?
Talk
So
about codependency all day.
yeah, well, we
You
could.
say that
It'll
one
be a whole
again.
nother
Say it
episode.
for the
It'll be a whole
rafters.
episode.
Say it for the rafters. Say it one more time. It's so good. I need it.
Yeah, just because somebody is offended does not mean that you have done something wrong.
Yeah.
Period. Full stop. So,
Just because they're
Clarissa,
offended
did you
that
have
you're
anything you
not
wanted to add?
eating
Yeah.
their food doesn't mean that's not really your problem. That's for them and their therapist and their food.
And I also feel like just because, they are offering it to you, it doesn't mean you can't be like grateful or like, wow, that looks amazing, and compliment them on all the work without still also declining at the same time, oh, that looks amazing. You must have put a lot of effort into that, but I'm good right now. Thanks. That way you're complimenting them and saying no at the same time. And their ego's like, oh, I still like that. And,
I want to like role play. Don't you guys want to like do a role play where we all show how we would go through this?
We've
I
been
would be
doing
very
this
funny.
with groups for weeks now, right?
Yes,
Like oh,
Sure.
thank you. That does like you were saying, Clarissa, oh, that looks so beautiful. That looks amazing. You must have put so much time and effort into it. I couldn't possibly eat one more bite.
yeah.
That's a really good
The
one.
rest of your meal has been so good. I'm so full.
Yeah.
Totally.
I love
Well,
that. It's so good. I also think like, yeah, I think it's just so, Marsha Linehan and DBT calls it like an easy manner. Like you hold it lightly. The lighter you hold it, that like it can't be an anvil if you're holding it this light. Like I love what you're saying. You're like, oh, I'm good. Loved the dinner. Love you. If I eat one more, I'm puking it up. So probably not,
yeah.
Like
Totally.
nobody
On
wants
that note, we should probably wrap this. So if you have more questions, email us, asktheshrinks@foodshrinks.com. We're here to answer your questions in these lovely little unedited real life shorts where you're going to get dogs barking, children entering, whatever. We're here for it all. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to Food Shrinks. Quick reminder, this podcast isn't a substitute for professional medical advice. Always consult your healthcare provider for guidance suited to your needs. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe to help us reach others on the recovery journey. Take care, and remember, freedom with food is possible. See you next time.